So today I want to open up and have an honest conversation with those of you that felt really called to watch this video. And honestly, this is a conversation that I wish I would have had with myself years ago in the very beginning stages of my journey where I felt overwhelmed, where I felt kind of stuck. And yet at the same time, I felt like I was healing. I felt like I was doing the work. And if you feel like you've been doing the work, but nothing is shifting, this is a conversation that I want you to join me in because years ago, I had the belief that I could heal myself. I could completely heal my twin flame journey all on my own. I didn't need any help. And what I ended up doing was watching and consuming so many twin flame videos on YouTube at the time because we didn't TikTok. I don't think really existed then. I don't know because I don't even remember when TikTok came out, but I was watching them mostly on YouTube and a little bit on Instagram. I was part of some twin flame communities on Facebook. I was listening to podcasts about the twin flame journey. I was reading blogs. I journaled about things. I cried. I felt my emotions. I was meditating. I was doing all these things. Sorry, I really wanted to create this video outside again today because it's so nice out, but it's a little bit windier today. You're going to have to bear with me. Even though I was doing all of these things and I had this deep belief that I could heal myself, I had to realize that there was nothing that was actually changing within me. Therefore, nothing was changing within my connection as well. Because what I started realizing was my emotions were still running my life. I was still obsessing, I was still waiting, and I was still trying to figure out his journey, figure out why he's doing this, figure out why he's doing that, versus sitting with the parts of me that were activated. And I truly believed I was doing the inner work. I truly did because I knew my patterns inside and out. I knew certain things about myself. But if I were to look back and be honest with myself, I was actually just really consuming information and feeling hurt when things didn't go my way in my journey or my twin flame would show me things about myself. And truth be told, was I wore what I called rose-colored glasses for a really long time because I didn't know the depth in which my wounding was. I didn't know exactly how my subconscious brain was operating because I thought to myself, if I if I want union and if I'm doing this work, then union is going to happen. But I didn't realize years down the road that my subconscious mind had a belief that union was actually unsafe. My body didn't feel safe enough to be vulnerable, to be fully seen, and to actually hold and feel safe in the love that I was desiring through my logical brain. And I truly believe that this conversation that I'm going to have with you is where many feminines unknowingly get stuck for years, which is why they keep playing out the same patterns and looping that they do within themselves and within their connection. And this is kind of inspired too by a conversation that I had with my twin flame. And this was like within a few months after we had broken up, was he had told me that I needed to become stable. I needed to be able to take care of myself. And at that time, I remember thinking that it was just financially. And I would even ask him, what does that mean? And he would say, you have to be able to take care of yourself, take care of your needs. And so my mind was just stuck on the financial part of it because I've talked about this time and time again. Money has always been one of my biggest lessons in this life. And so I thought it was financially. So I started going to work. I started like working on my financial literacy, started understanding my patterns and spending and all of this kind of stuff, my money blueprint, yada, yada, yada. I even ended up making more money to only blow it and end up like back to where I was. And money is a whole another topic that eventually I'll start talking about more and more on this channel because it's really important as feminines for us to have our own financial abundance. And so if you're new here, I want to welcome you. My name is Melissa, and this is the Sacredness Within You. I created this channel to help feminines navigate this journey in a more aligned way than I ever have, to be able to understand why they're feeling overwhelmed, confused, why we go through certain challenges and offer them tools and wisdom to help you navigate your journey so you can come into inner union sooner than I ever have. And if you're wanting to have more of that, then I encourage you to subscribe. And for my subscribers that have been here for a while, I'm so grateful for you. And I'm so honored that you continue to allow me to support you on your journey and to walk side by side with you on this path. So let's dive into this conversation that I want to have with all of you because I think it's really important as feminines that we take out the rose-colored glasses, the glasses that prevent us from actually seeing what is truly happening within ourselves and within our connection. And I wore those glasses probably for my first 4 years. And right before I moved back to Minnesota from living in Mexico for a while, I ripped those rose-colored glasses off and I said, I'm not wearing those anymore. I need to get really clear and honest with what was actually happening within me and within my dynamic. Because as feminists, we get caught up in consuming. We're consuming videos on the twin flame journey. Now we have TikTok. Back then I didn't have TikTok. We have YouTube, we have Instagram, there's Facebook stuff, and the feminines get caught up in consuming so much information, whether it's reading books or reading blogs. They're constantly consuming to try to figure this journey out. They're trying to figure it out from the logical mind, and the logical mind isn't meant to understand this journey because it defies everything that we've ever known about relationships, and it goes against everything that everyone else believes because we're here to actually help support in eliminating certain templates when it comes to relationships and to anchor in new templates. But we have to be able to clear those templates, well, with inside of ourselves first before we can actually anchor in the new templates. And so a lot of feminines get caught up in consuming, and they're reading, they're journaling, they're pulling tarot cards. They might even be watching so many different tarot card readers, thinking that, oh, she's talking about me. She's talking about my collective. She's talking about my twin flame. And I was guilty of it. I'm not going to lie, for my first 2 years. And you're meditating, you're feeling some of your feelings, and you're calling all of this healing. But here's the truth, is this is just actually consuming, and you're scratching the surface of your healing. And before you come at me in the comments and be like, I'm healing, blah, blah, I've been doing this and this, I want you to ask yourself where you're at right now in your journey, which by the way is perfect. You don't need to be anywhere other than where you are. Has your identity actually shifted and changed? Do you see yourself as someone different? Because healing isn't measured in how much it is that you know. It's not. In that case, I would be like one of the most healed people walking this planet because I have so much information, so much knowledge within me. But it's measured by how you respond to life, how you respond to your twin flame, how you respond to the challenges that surface in your life. It's healing is measured by what you will tolerate from others, what you tolerate from yourself. And it's measured in how much you are embodied And that is the missing key, the missing part for a lot of feminines is the embodiment part. And and healing is also measured in who you become. Because this journey is about your becoming. And there's going to be multiple versions of you that emerge, multiple becomings of who you are. Because you're stripping back these layers to rediscover who you are, to have this true intimate relationship with yourself. Because the part that a lot of feminines, when they come into my reality, they miss out on when they say, oh, yeah, I've been healing, I've been doing the inner work, is almost always in my very first session with somebody. They will either say in an email back to me or in the following session, oh my God, I had no idea that that's how much work I needed to do. I didn't understand that that's how deep I had to go. Because in my sessions with my clients, I don't just take you surface level, I take you deep into the work. And one of the most powerful things that you can do right now is if you are really doing the inner work and to know that your inner work is working. I don't want you to look at your intentions. Yes, intentions are powerful, right? Like they amplify things, but I want you to look at the evidence. And the evidence is what I want you to start looking at and start building a case for, yes, I'm healing, or building some proof and saying, wow, what I'm doing isn't working. I need to create shifts within my healing journey. I need to do something differently because we're going to look at various areas of your life. And I want you to really be honest with yourself because only you are going to be looking at this. And if you're not honest with yourself, you're doing a disservice to you and your journey. And this isn't a time for you to shame yourself or judge yourself, belittle yourself. It's just to get crystal clear on where it is that you are. Because if things aren't changing in your reality, it's then an opportunity for you to say, what I'm doing isn't working. And that's okay because now you know and you can make a pivotal shift in your journey. So first I want you to look at your emotional piece of it. Is Are you still experiencing emotional highs and lows where you're ecstatic one day and you're crashing the next? Particularly if you've been on this journey for a while. Like after 2 years of this journey, I feel like those oscillations shouldn't be happening as much. And yes, they happen every once in a while when we get triggered to bring up a wound, right? But I'm talking about constantly. Next, do you still spiral? Anytime something happens in your connection, in your life. And do you have the ability to regulate yourself? Or do you collapse? And remember, there's no right or wrong. It's just helping you understand more about you. Next, let's look at your mental part of this journey, right? Your mental like capacity or where it is that you're navigating things from. So next, I want you to look at your mental stability, like where your mind is at, where your thoughts are at. Because are you still replaying conversations that you've had with your beloved, conversation with others, wondering why you said that, wondering why you didn't say something else, or thinking if I would have said this, perhaps we would still be talking or in communication. Next, are you checking social media? Are you trying to decode the signs? And do you make every sign be about your twin flame journey. And what I mean by that is, say you see 1111, and people in the twin flame community will be like, oh, it means something about your twin flame, blah, 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 blah. It's twin flame stuff. Not every sign that you get is about your twin flame or about your twin flame journey. Your twin flame journey is just part of your human experience. It isn't everything. And not every sign is meant to be decoded and understood as something part of your twin flame journey. Next, are you thinking about them all day? And I know some of you are going to be like, nope, I push all my thoughts out. But feminines, the goal isn't to have no thoughts about your twin flame. It's about understanding why you are thinking about them, understanding what happens after they come into your mind. Do you spiral into other thoughts, thinking, oh, what is he doing? Why hasn't he texted me? What's he doing with the third party? Blah, 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 blah. Because it's virtually impossible not to think about someone. Because how many times does a friend come in your mind and you're like, oh, I need to message them? It's the same thing with our twin flame. They're going to come into our mind. It's about what happens afterwards. And it's about how much time you actually spend thinking about them. Because I don't spend all day thinking about my best friends. I don't. I don't think about them every day. I might think about them and something comes to my mind. I'm like, oh, I need to message them. I need to call them. There's a big difference. Or do you collapse at the thought of him, doing certain things or not calling you? It's so important to understand what happens afterwards. Next, let's talk about the nervous system. And the nervous system, I know, is something a lot of feminines haven't really started navigating through. And it's really an important piece of our journey because our nervous system will say nope to certain things if it doesn't feel safe, because you have to actually connect to yourself and understand your body in that way and ask yourself, do you actually feel safe? Do you feel safe in your environment? Do you feel safe in your body? Do you feel safe, fill in the blank when you go to certain areas? Or does your body constantly feel urgency, hypervigilancy, waiting, bracing? All of these things are giving you insight to understanding your nervous system. Because logically, you might say, I want union. And you know deep down inside in your soul, you're meant to have union. But when your body says, this kind of love doesn't feel safe because it's unfamiliar, you will continue to push away what the exact thing is that you desire. Next, let's talk about your body. Our human bodies are so amazing. When I was a personal trainer, understanding the human body was one of my favorite things to do. And now I'm starting to understand more of the metaphysical parts of things as well when it comes to the human body and how we manifest things and what certain things are telling us about parts of ourselves. But first, I want you to ask you about your relationship with your body. This amazing body that you chose to live in for this lifetime. You chose everything about it because you thought it would be so amazing to have that body, to have your eyes, to have your lips, to have everything. Or are you judging your body and shaming it because you've gained a few pounds because your body's actually trying to protect you from something? Do you thank your body every day for what it does? Do you nourish it? Or are you skipping meals or compiling, or eating piles of junk food? What about your rest? Do you have days of rest where you don't do anything but rest and recharge? What about your quality of sleep? Are you getting 7 to 8 hours? Are you giving yourself permission to sleep? because sleeping is when our body does a lot of healing. Or has your twin flame journey become more important than caring for yourself? And you don't need to be perfect at all of this. It's about the devotion that you have to you, your devotion to taking care of yourself. Next, let's talk about your relationship with money. How is your relationship with receiving? Can you receive a compliment? Can you receive somebody opening the door for you? Somebody paying for something for you? Or do you deflect it and say no? Or receive the compliment and be like, oh, thanks, I got it at Target. Can you fully receive it? And when I say receive it, it's receiving it into your body, feeling how amazing it is that somebody recognized you and wanted to support you in that way. What about your relationship with abundance? Do you see abundance everywhere or is there lack? And what about your relationship with money? What about your relationship with trusting in life and the universe and God? Because the same nervous system that struggles with love often struggles with receiving in every area. Our relationship with money and love are deeply intertwined. Let's talk about your relationship. And I'm not talking about your twin flame relationship. I'm talking about relationships for you in general. Have your friendships, the quality of your friendships improved? Meaning, do you have more soul aligned soul aligned friends that like are there for you when times are tough, can support you and hold you, and you talk about expansion and growth? Or are your friendships so caught up in proving your worth and gossiping and, you know, planning the next time you're going to go out to the clubs? And I know some of you might be thinking, Liz, I don't have very many friendships right now. And that's okay because you're just in between. You are letting go of the relationships that are no longer serving you. And you are not yet at the place in your journey where you will start ushering in those friendships, but they will come in. You will find your soul tribe. Next, how is your relationship with your family? What's your family dynamic like, whether it's the family that you've created or the family that you come from? And I know for some of you, like me, you may not talk to your family because of various reasons, right? And I do not push people to have a relationship with their family if it doesn't feel right because you've set boundaries with yourself. And maybe perhaps you've had boundaries with them and they kept crossing them. So it was just best for the two of you to go your own way. I totally get that and respect that. But for those of you that are close with your family, do you have boundaries? Are you still people pleasing? Are you still making them a priority, saying yes to them when they say no? And what about your self-respect? How's your self-respect? Because the most important relationship that you'll ever have is with yourself. And lastly, let's talk about purpose. I know some of you are like, Melissa, I don't know my purpose. I'm not quite there yet. And that's okay because our purpose is deeper than how we're here to serve. That's more of our mission. And some of you are trying to figure out your mission before you're even ready for it. Your mission, you will know exactly when you're meant to start it, when you are ready. And no, you don't have to wait to be in union to serve and to be in your mission. Many feminists have that belief because they think you have to be in union because there's this belief that, oh, if I'm a twin flame, then I'm here to serve the twin flame collective. And that may not be necessarily true for everyone. Like I know me serving the twin flame collective is just a small way that I get to serve humanity. I actually have a really big mission, as many of us do. Feminines are meant to have their own mission. The masculine has their own mission. And together, they have a mission together. But when it comes to our purpose, is have you become more connected to why you are here? Do you understand why it is that you are here? That's part of your purpose. Or is your life still revolving around your twin flame? Because many of you yet, or many of you are still experiencing your whole life as your twin flame journey. You identify as a twin flame. Everything is about your twin flame. And at a certain point in time in your journey, you will start to understand that your twin flame and your twin flame journey is just a small part of your human existence. It's part of how you decided you were going to experience life in this lifetime. Because here's the thing, feminine, is nothing is going to change. Nothing is going to change unless if you get crystal clear on the evidence. And it's like Einstein says, if you keep doing the same thing and expecting the same results, like that's insanity. And many of us have been operating our whole life in that way and in that capacity. And now it's time to shift it. Because the biggest lie that we tell ourselves is I can do this alone. I told myself that lie for the first 3, 4 years. I can do this all alone. I don't need anybody. I can do this. I can see all this stuff about myself. Mm, I was wrong. I couldn't understand why I kept repeating the same patterns. I didn't understand what the root cause of what was creating something in my life, creating something between my twin flame and I. And I remember the exact moment when I knew that I needed to finally get support. And I remember having coffee with somebody, and I was talking about my direct sales business at that time, and she was on her path of awakening, and we were talking about so many things. And she started talking about how she was seeing a Reiki healer, and like everything inside me was really resonating with me. And I told her, I said, "Oh, can you send me the contact information of the person that you see?" She's like, "Yeah." I ended up reaching out to that person and they're like, my schedule's too busy actually. I recommend this person. And the very first person that I ever experienced any type of support with on my spiritual awakening was the most amazing person. And she is now one of my best friends and my most favorite people in the whole wide world because she created a safe environment for me. She made me feel safe to be seen and to be heard and to be understood. And it eliminated all my fears. And I want to talk about these fears because these fears kept me stuck in believing that I needed to do this journey all alone. And after meeting her, I went on to meet with other healers. I mean, I've worked with, I think, like dozens of healers now. I have worked only with one twin flame mentor, that's Jill and Raimi. And they were the ones that helped me get back onto my path. And that's what I feel like I do for feminines as well, is help you get back onto your path, give you tools and resources to help you navigate this journey. So let's talk about these fears that I had. Fear number one that I had when it came to asking for help is it meant that I was no longer in control. And for somebody that likes to control and needs to have my hands on the steering wheel, this brought up so much stuff within me. I was like, I'm no longer in control then. I cannot determine what's going to happen. But not only that, asking for help for me meant that I was weak, meant that I wasn't smart enough. I wasn't good enough to do this on my own. Fear number two, I had this fear that if somebody fully saw me, they would see everything that was wrong with me and they wouldn't love me. They wouldn't like me. They would judge me. They would shame me for the things that they saw. But actually, she became, like I said, she became one of my favorite people in the world. the very first healer that I saw. She's also on the path. I remember the day when we started cultivating a friendship. She looked at me and she said, you make it so easy to love you. And in my mind, I was like, really? Wait, what did you just say? And she's like, yeah, you make it so easy to love you. And I looked at her puzzled and she was like, why? Why? I go, why do you say that? She's like, it's true. And she goes, but you look so confused. I said, yeah, because no one had ever told me that before. And she knows everything about me. And that's when I started realizing that the right people that you're here to work with, who are here to support you, will love you just the way that you are. And they'll be able to see those parts of you and not judge you for them because chances are they have experienced the same exact thing. The fear number three is, what if somebody tells me I'm doing it wrong? This came up when I worked with my mentor, Rami. I had like several sessions with him one on one. And every time I would go to have a session with him, this fear would come up of being like, oh my God, he's going to tell me I'm doing it wrong. But here's the thing, wherever it is that you're at in your journey, it's it's perfect. And you have the ability to choose whatever pathway you want to choose because you need to learn something going down that path. It's not wrong. And there's no wrong way to journey this journey. Trust me, I have experienced everything. I'm still standing. I'm still thriving. And my my connection itself changes more and more every day. Number four, I talked about this one already a little bit. Like if I need help, it means that I failed. It means that I'm weak. It means that I'm not good enough. It means I don't have the capacity to do what it is that I want to do. And what I realized is that those things were the things that my ego were telling me. And those are the things that were keeping me safe. But I realized too that by keeping myself safe and in my comfort zone and only scratching the surface of my healing, that I wasn't going to have the life here that I really truly wanted and the life that I truly desired. And here's the thing I want a lot of you feminines to know is yes, I know that you are so aware of your pattern. You are aware of them. And you know exactly how it is that you operate. You know why you do it. You keep doing it, right? But you haven't gotten down to the root cause of why you do this. You don't understand the depth and the layers that go into things because it's hard for us at times to see our own blind spots. And there are two reasons why is one is we don't want to see that part because of whatever it is our nervous system and our mind associates with that. And the other part is that we simply can't because there's all this stuff over it that we can't see yet. And there are amazing healers and gift and like coaches out there that have these incredible gifts to see beyond certain things, to be able to see the stuff that you can't see. And that stuff that's all above that root cause is the very thing that needs to be able, those things that need to be peeled back so you can actually have the healing that you want to experience. And I know this is going to challenge some of you because I also know in the collective, both in the Twin Flame Collective and the Spiritual Collective, there's this belief that you can heal yourself, that you don't need coaches, you don't need healers, that they're just making money off of you and stuff like that. But here's the thing is that you literally cannot see every pattern within yourself. It's virtually impossible. Some of us just don't have those gifts and abilities to. And I will tell you the moment that I started working with healers and my twin flame mentors, like that's when my journey started shifting dramatically. When I started seeing results, when I started shifting my identity, where I started building my confidence in who I am. And this is why coaches exist. This is why therapists exist. This is why mentors exist. This is why energy healers exist, why seers exist. All of them, mediums, is because it's not because they're better than you. It's just that they have ability to see things within you that you just can't see because your nervous system has normalized these things. Your nervous system thinks that these things that are happening within you are normal. Because here's the thing that I want to share with you feminines is I didn't create the biggest shifts in my journey because I watched another YouTube video or I watched another TikTok video. It didn't. That stuff kind of helps me scratch the surface because that's what content does. It helps you scratch the surface of things. It doesn't actually get you to the deep root of what it is that you are meant to heal within you. And I created these shifts in my life because I allowed someone else to see me, to heal, like help me release trapped emotions, to help me understand why I created this pattern, why I was feeling a certain way about my beloved from past lives. And yet they were here to challenge me as well, to force me out of my comfort zone, to reflect back the patterns, like I said, I couldn't see, to help me regulate my nervous system, to embody something different. And you've heard me time and time again talk about how most feminists haven't gone deep enough into their work, where they're just scratching the surface of their healing. And so I want to take some time and actually go through what the work actually means. Because it's just not meditating, it's just not praying to God, it's just not journaling. It requires you to actually do the work. It's about understanding your attachment patterns instead of repeating them. Like I used to be like, yeah, like I'm an anxious attachment. This is how I navigate. But no, I had to stop regulating or stop doing those types of patterns. And I know on here and on TikTok, I have talked about this multiple times where most feminines haven't gone deep enough into the work. And you hear me talk about this time and time again and how they're just scratching the surface of the work and wondering why there's nothing shifting within them and within their reality. And I want to talk about what the work actually is, because this is how you begin to transform. This is how you begin to shift your identity, shift who you are, and start cultivating the life that you are here to live. And you're not waiting for your twin flame to return to experience your best life. You're here to start giving yourself that life, whether or not they are by your side. Because the healing and the work that we're doing isn't about endlessly processing the emotions and endlessly feeling all of these emotions, although that's some of the work, right? But that's where most feminines stop. They understand their patterns, they know how they operate, and they process their emotions endlessly. But they don't go beyond that. They don't go beyond understanding their patterns. They know those patterns, but they keep repeating them instead of saying, what do I need to do to stop repeating these? What do I need to do instead? It's rewiring your subconscious beliefs instead of simply knowing that these exist. Or perhaps you don't even know what your subconscious beliefs are because you don't want to actually see how they're played out in your reality. You don't understand why somebody keeps talking about how expensive everything is. And you don't realize that you have a subconscious belief that everything is expensive. It's it's a nervous system regulation instead of emotional suppression. It's being able to connect with your nervous system and hold yourself during times when your nervous system is activated. versus collapsing versus shutting down. It's behavioral changes, creating new patterns of living, creating new responses and how you respond to life versus repeating the same old patterns and behaviors over and over again. It's masculine self leadership. And this is the part where a lot of feminines lack because they feel like they need to heal their feminine in order to be more feminine. But the very thing that most feminines are missing is healthy and masculine energy within them. And when your healthy masculine energy within you is activated, it self leads, meaning you say you're going to do what you're going to do and you're going to go out and do it. You keep promises to yourself. You create structure. You take responsibility. You build safety within your body through consistency. And you prove to yourself time and time again that you are there for yourself. You are consistent with yourself. You are devoted to yourself. And so many feminists are trying to embody their feminine energy, but lack this part. And they end up saying, oh, I'm just flowing. And when really they are a puddle and they want to be the river. And let's talk about embodiments. You can know the information, like what feminine, what an embodied feminine is, but it's about living it. Like, do you slow down and enjoy the journey? Do you allow your masculine energy to lead you by creating structures that we talked about and providing for you and building safety within you to allow your feminine to flow? Or are you just knowing the information and be like, oh yeah, this is how a feminine is, and you try to act that way? There's a difference between those two things because an embodied feminine, she lives it, it radiates out. She's a magnet because her heart is open. She lives, she's allowing life to flow through her, and she doesn't allow life to happen to her. So I want you to think about this conversation and reflect back on those questions. And when you're done looking at all the questions that I presented about your mental, emotional, your nervous system, your relationship with money, all of that, and look at it and ask yourself, is what you're doing actually working? And pause and see the evidence right in front of you. And if the answer is no, it's not something to be ashamed of. It's not something to judge yourself or belittle yourself. It's just simply information. And that's what our spiritual awakening is. That's what our twin flame journey is. It's helping us gather information so we can choose to do things differently. And what if your breakthrough wasn't to watch another YouTube video? What if it's actually allowing yourself to receive the support that your nervous system and your ego have been resisting? And I would love to know, what part of this video challenged you the most? What spoke to you and was like, oh, this is exactly what it is that I needed to hear to take those rose-colored glasses? Because this is a moment where you start realizing I need to start doing things differently. And maybe you have been confusing with learning as equaling transformation. And trust me, I was guilty of it. And I wish I would have had somebody give me this conversation years ago, or I would have had this conversation earlier with myself because I would have done things a lot differently early on in my journey. And share all this in the comments. I would love to know. And if you're ready to stop looping and start embodying the woman that your soul has been calling you to become, then I have all my information down below for Untangled, for Rise, which is my community for the feminines. I have one-on-one healing and coaching sessions. Only you know what support it is that you need. And if you're not quite sure what support you need, then feel free to email me and we can have that conversation. Because for me, my goal is to get you connected with the support that you need, not what it is that I think you need, but what it is that you need. And just because you decide on one thing doesn't mean you have to stick with it forever. You might decide to do something different down the road. And that's totally okay as well. And as always, my friends, it's such an honor and a pleasure to walk this journey with you and to be on this path. And I'm sending you all so much love and light and cannot wait to connect with you in the next video. Until next time.